Are you struggling with gaming? Is it taking over your life? Are you tired of staring at a screen deep into the evening, waking up with no energy the next day? If this is you, I'm Phil Shea, and I specialize in gambling and gaming addictions, helping people in your position for over half a decade. And in this video, I'm going to help you understand how to break free from this vicious cycle without relying on willpower with 5 easy steps that you can apply today. Let's get into it. This is not an exhaustive list, but a series of easy steps you can take that will substantially increase your odds of achieving the life you want without having to rely solely on willpower. First, identify triggers. Whenever you feel the urge to play, notice what happened just before it. In this stage, don't chastise yourself for wanting to indulge, but instead, examine it. If you're like most people, your routine is somewhat predictable, and you can easily trace the events or locations that pop up before you start a gaming session. In addiction circles, it's known that people are more likely to use when they enter into a familiar context at familiar times. Your brain recognizes what's coming, and it starts priming you to crave your usual substance. In this case, gaming. Suppose you get home, you eat, and you sit down at your gaming station, most days of the week. If this is the case, then we know that coming home and eating around that time of day is going to make you want to sit down and boot up your game of choice. Now, notice if you happen to break the cycle by going out with friends that evening. You likely don't have as strong of cravings until you get home. You've trained yourself, like Pavlov's dogs, to want to go to that reward machine every time you go home. It's a natural progression. One summer many years ago, it was very hot out. After leaving work, I passed a corner store on my way home. Thinking I could use a cold treat, I stopped in and grabbed an ice cream. The next day, following the same path, I did it again. It wasn't until I was rushing home, without time to stop, did I realize how much I was relying on that ice cream. However, when I took a different route home or had to go directly to another meeting, I had no urge for ice cream anymore. Similarly, if you find there are particular moments where you catch yourself sitting down to game almost as if on autopilot, noticing that will empower you to do something that disrupts your pattern and gives you more control back. It doesn't have to be super effortful. If we take the example of getting home, eating, and gaming, you could change it with something as simple as going for a 5-minute walk after eating. You may be thinking, but I have an irregular schedule, this won't work for me. If you look closely, you'll notice similar tendencies in your own life. When you're home alone at night, when you wake up before your partner on the weekend, when you're bored with the task you're supposed to be focusing on, there are themes that will emerge if you pay attention. Whenever you notice you have the urge to play or you find yourself mindlessly booting up, ask yourself, how did I get here? What led up to this? Keep a notepad somewhere at hand and write them down. After a week or two of collecting data, you can start to notice patterns. If you have enough data and you still are finding it difficult to notice the patterns, you could ask a friend or your therapist to determine the commonality between them. The point of this step isn't to be a miracle fix. It's to just recognize your own patterns and to take control back, giving yourself choice. Next up, we have urge surfing. This is where you feel the urge and choose to investigate it with curiosity. It's natural to feel the urge to do the very thing you're trying to give up, then chastise yourself or feel guilty for feeling it, even before potentially giving in. Urge surfing means riding out a craving instead of fighting it or giving in. Mere acceptance and observation, those are the goals. As fighting or giving in will both give it energy, imagine the craving like a wave in the ocean. It rises, peaks, and then naturally falls away. Instead of panicking or trying to stop it, you stay present and observe what's happening in your body and mind as it comes and goes. You might notice your heart beating faster, your mouth getting dry, or your thoughts saying, I need it. You just watch those sensations, breathe, and remind yourself, this feeling will pass. The goal isn't to crush the urge. It's to let it roll through you without acting on it. With practice, you'll see that cravings always fade, and you build confidence that you're in control, not the urge. This also trains your body to be more in control and saps strength from the urges. There are 6 steps to urge surfing. First, notice the urge. Catch it early and say to yourself, I'm having an urge right now. Naming it helps you step back from it instead of being swept away by it. Next, pause and breathe. Take a few slow, deep breaths. You're not trying to push the feeling away. You're just giving yourself space to observe it. Third, focus on what you're feeling in your body. Ask yourself, what does the urge feel like physically? You might notice tightness in your chest, a restless feeling, or tension in your hands. Just notice it. No judgment, no action. Fourth, ride the wave. Picture the craving as a wave that rises, peaks, and falls. Visualization has huge benefits when dealing with troublesome thoughts or feelings. Stick with it. Keep breathing as you ride it, letting it move through you. You'll often feel the intensity rise for a few minutes, then slowly fade. The easiest way to deal with riding the wave is to disrupt your usual patterns, like going for a walk, playing an instrument, or reading a book. Set a timer if you have to. Fifth, remind yourself that this is temporary. Say something like, "This won't last forever. I can handle this." The average craving only lasts 10 to 20 minutes if you don't feed it. Finally, just let it pass. When the urge fades, notice that you made it through. That's a victory, plain and simple. Each time you do this, the next wave will feel smaller and easier to ride. Next up, we have the strategy known as playing it forward. When you're hit with the urge to game, your brain is zoomed into the now, the anticipation, the escape. It conveniently forgets what comes after: the guilt, the fatigue, the lost time, the loss of sleep, irritability, the fighting, on and on. Playing it forward means mentally walking yourself through the sequence before you start. Picture yourself saying, "Okay, I'll just play for an hour," but then fast forward. See yourself 3 or 4 hours later. It's past midnight. You're bleary-eyed. Maybe you're frustrated at how little control you had. You tell yourself, "Tomorrow I'll get back on track." Yet you find yourself continuing to do the very same thing. That's a loop we're trying to break. By vividly imagining the whole movie, not just the trailer, you give yourself a clearer picture of the cost before paying the price. And often, that's enough to take the edge off the craving and help you make a more deliberate choice. When you do this repeatedly, you rewire your brain's reward system to consider long-term satisfaction over short-term relief. Fourth, time locking yourself out. This one's more practical. It's about removing the option to act impulsively when your willpower is waning. If you're about to cave and you don't think you can sit with the cravings, there are time locking safes you can use for your phone, controllers, or handheld systems, even your power cables if you're serious. You set a timer, lock them in, and that's it. You can't access them until the timer runs out. If it's your phone, just remember to put it on silent or do not disturb. They're relatively inexpensive, usually setting you back under $50 on Amazon. If you game on PC, you can even schedule shutdowns in or use apps that limit access during certain hours. In addition to that, there are apps you can download like Freedom to time lock yourself out across devices and operating systems. It might sound extreme, but remember, you're not doing this because you're weak. You're doing it because you're building systems that protect your best self from your worst impulses. You don't need to white-knuckle through the cravings, and it's definitely not cheating to limit your access when you're feeling low. Once the temptation is physically out of reach, the mental noise fades faster than you'd expect. It gives your rational brain time to take the wheel again. The point is to retrain your brain by breaking the habitual cycle, starving your cravings, and eventually growing past the need altogether. Finally, let's talk about filling the void, because you're not simply giving up gaming, you're reclaiming hours of your life. This strategy is about giving your mind something worth chasing. When you stop gaming, there's a void, and if you don't fill it, it will pull you back in like a black hole. Start by setting 1 or 2 meaningful projects or challenges. It could be getting in shape, learning a language, starting a small creative project, or reconnecting socially. The key is picking something that has visible or tangible progress, the same thing that makes games so addictive in the first place. Progress bars, leveling up, rewards, we crave that. So use it. Make your real life the new game. Track your wins, level up your habits, and watch your world expand beyond the screen. The theme of these tips is to break the cycle before it begins. First, you have to recognize the cycles. Then, you're empowered to more easily defeat your demons. Remember, a man who lacks purpose distracts himself with pleasure. I'm Phil Shea, addictions counselor. Thanks for watching and for taking another step toward getting your life back on track. Have a great day.